Bryan Green's story is a touching example of dedication to community and family. Born and raised in Bellefonte, Arkansas, she met and married Loy Buck Green from Lead Hill in August of 1938. Together, they built a life centered around service and education. Esther's career was deeply entwined with the Lead Hill community. For 38 years, she taught home economics at the Lead Hill School, where her influence extended beyond the classroom. Her early involvement in coaching girls basketball alongside her husband, who taught agriculture and coached the boys' teams, highlighted her commitment to fostering local talent and supporting the youth. In addition to her teaching and coaching roles, Esther played the piano for the First Baptist Church of Lead Hill, contributing to the spiritual and communal life of her town. Her work in various community areas underscores her education and the significant impact she had on those around her. Esther Dell Bryan Green's legacy is one of service, education, and community involvement, remembered fondly by those who knew her until her passing in 1985. Dell's story, as told by her daughter Berta Lee Green Forsey, paints a vivid picture of a life filled with love, commitment, and transformation. Born in Bellefonte, Arkansas on November 27, 1916, she was the fourth of 6 children. Her journey took her from her small-town roots to Arkansas Tech in Russellville, where she pursued higher education with a focus on home economics. After completing her studies, Dell returned home and met Loy Buck Green on the steps of the Boone County Courthouse. Their meeting led to a romance that culminated in marriage on August 27, 1938. The couple's early years were marked by both personal and professional transitions. In October 1939, they welcomed their first child, a daughter named Berta Lee, in Harrison, Arkansas. Shortly after Berta Lee's birth, the Greens relocated to Texas, where Buck had joined the Border Patrol during World War II. Berta Lee fondly recalls the dramatic change in scenery from the familiar landscapes of Arkansas to the new and different surroundings of Texas. This period marked the beginning of a life full of new experiences and challenges for the Green family, setting the stage for the enduring legacy that Esther Dell and Buck would build together. After a stint in Texas, where the novelty of watching for submarines in the Gulf of Mexico wore thin, the Green family decided to return to Lead Hill. They rented the Coker House and its adjoining farm, a property with a rich history, as it had once served as the office and home of Dr. Coker in the old town of Lead Hill. In their new home, Esther Dell brought her touch of warmth and vibrancy to the Coker house. She adorned the kitchen with bright yellow curtains, adding a cheerful and fresh look to the old residence. Berta Lee fondly remembers her early childhood days in this home. As a baby, she slept in a baby bed in the living room and delighted in the swing that was set upstairs, making her time there both cozy and joyful. Eventually, the family made a permanent move, purchasing the DeShields house and farm located down by the creek. This new property became their long-term home, where they continued to build their life and contribute to the Lead Hill community. Dora DeShields, also known as Grandma Dora, was Berta Lee's grandmother. Berta Lee got her name from her grandfather, Bert Lee Green. The family of Dora and Bert Lee was quite large, with 10 other children in addition to Loy Buck Green. It must have been a lively place, especially with memories of going down to the barn and noticing the milk cans all around. Sports were a big part of the Green family's life. Buck and Dell were both deeply involved in teaching and coaching, and their dedication had a lasting impact on the community, especially in basketball. Berta Lee got to experience the excitement of riding on the bus with a successful girls' basketball team, especially knowing that their uniforms were handmade in home economics class, a nice touch of creativity and school pride. Dell's long career at Lead Hill, teaching home economics and 8th grade history, shows how versatile and committed she was to her students. Her involvement in coaching successful basketball teams adds to that legacy. The birth of Michael Green, later known as Coach Green, was a joyful moment for the family in 1948. It's heartwarming to think of how he carried on his family tradition in sports and education. What a profound and life-changing event for the family and the entire Lead Hill community. The news of late bull shows covering the town, including the school, farms, churches, and stores, must have been incredibly difficult to process. The thought of seeing everything they had built, including Buck and Dell's farm, sold to the government and ultimately submerged by water is unimaginable. For Berta Lee, coming home in the 5th grade to find her house literally gone. Moved to a new location must have been both shocking and surreal. The idea of a house being moved to the new Lead Hill site, while necessary, must have felt strange and unsettling at the time, especially for a little child. The displacement of entire communities and families, the transformation of the landscape, and the resilience of people as they rebuilt their lives in new locations. These events were filled with emotional depth. What a unique and unforgettable experience for Berta Lee and the Green family. The image of her following the tracks left by the house as it was pulled through the field and seeing a man lifting power lines for it to pass really paints a vivid picture of how surreal that day must have been. The detail of the honeysuckle still being attached to the house after its journey. It's like a piece of their old life stayed with them. They slept in the house on the first night, even though it wasn't leveled. Berta held on to the side of her bed as it slanted, making the best of an unusual situation. It's fascinating to think about how the town of Lead Hill was rebuilt and how Bert Green's land became part of the new community's foundation. The fact that Dell played such a key note in designing and preserving elements of the new First Baptist Church, even down to the plaque, really shows her dedication to keeping the spirit of the old town alive in its new form. It's touching to know that despite the challenges of moving an entire town, the legacy of places like the church was carried forward. The plaque must feel like a connection to the past for so many people, even as the town continues today to grow and change. The Greens moved to their new home on Highway 7, which was built by B.L. Green, and it must have been an exciting new chapter for the family, especially with the luxury of a bathroom. It's clear that they were constantly working to improve their lives and the community all around them. Buck's career in law enforcement, rising from a member of the Harrison Police Force to police chief and eventually Boone County Sheriff, speaks to his leadership and dedication to public service. Dell's teaching style was so enriching and hands-on, giving students practical skills that went beyond the classroom. The style show must have been a wonderful community event where everyone could celebrate the students' hard work and creativity. It's easy to imagine the pride the girls must have felt showing off their dresses while performing for their families and neighbors. The emphasis on measuring in cooking while respecting each family's traditions shows her thoughtful approach to teaching, bridging formal education and the wisdom passed down from mothers, yes, and grandmothers. Dell's creative approach to education extended far beyond the classroom, offering her students unique experiences like visiting beautifully decorated homes in Harrison. It must have been a special occasion for the girls, dressing up in formal gowns and getting to explore such places, an experience that combined elegance, learning, and community connection. The mother-daughter banquets were cherished events, further emphasizing the importance Dell placed on family, tradition, and celebration. Her 38-year career, culminating in a special banquet, speaks to the lasting impact she had on her students and her community.
Once someone told me that Lead Hill was good for my mom, but I believe that she was good for Lead Hill. Thank you for remembering my mother, Dell Bryan Green.